So today we get to talk a little bit about resetting our body and our spirit, and that we're basically healing our channels of communication when we do this. So in the last 8 weeks of doing all of that beautiful and intense healing and clearing work, many times what that does is it starts to stir up the pond. It goes very, very, very deep into our karmic blueprint, into our ancestral blueprint, into our cellular memories and our DNA of our early childhood or even past life experiences. So it begins to kind of break it up and begin to loosen it so that it can begin to move out of our body. This creates an ability for us to detox it out of the body. So on one level, it feels like things are clearing and moving, but now I want to invite you to a new perception that these channels that are opening up, so these cells that are opening up in our body are Akashic records that are resetting and clearing into a new divine kind of record within them, that we are rewriting our records in our Akashic field. And that as we do that, it's freeing up space. And all of this space that is freeing up is what I want to just start to kind of look at as clean channels. So whether it's radio wave frequency channels, whether or not it's channels of how the fluids and the hormones and the communication moves through our body. It's also one and the same in how the communication moves through our body and how we communicate with our different etheric bodies, so our different dimensional auric bodies, so dimensions 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8 most predominantly within our form, that we communicate through our chakras. Our chakras each hold kind of a layer and a level of our identity that exists within different dimensional planes of our universal time matrix. And so as these channels start to clear, what happens is now this is where we start to get higher consciousness, higher awareness, higher communication, be it in our dream time, be it in the way we communicate with our guides or the synchronicities that we have in life. So what we are experiencing on a physical level is the opening of our channels of communication. And these levels of communication are going to be really important for us, especially as we start to communicate with our guardian races. So especially when we're out sitting and looking to the stars and seeing the activity in the stars, seeing the different beings that are moving about in our atmosphere and within our solar system, as we see them, part of the beauty in what we're really stepping into now is they are all really communicating with us on a telepathic level. So us cleaning our channels means we're getting our own lower mind chatter out of the way, what I like to call the squirrel mind, or just all that ruckus that we get in our head from our lower vibrations, from our limiting belief systems, and all of that mind slide stuff that comes in. So we clear that out so we can actually start to develop our telepathic abilities with our different guardian races. So you may have heard me mention a few times that when I talk about our physical body, I talk about it in the sense that it is one and the same with our subconscious mind. That our physical body is just a tangible speaker that gives us something to interact with and understand a little bit better in how it speaks to us, but it's literally speaking to us from our subconscious mind. And our subconscious mind is the place where we hold all of our kind of our interface of our Akashic records, all of the karma, all of the debt, all of our belief systems, all of our programming. And also the subconscious mind is where a lot of the negative alien agenda programming taps into our field. So this is where we get kind of the negative programming that gets blasted at us on the planet. It actually hits us on a subconscious level, as well as the mind slides that come in. So these are sometimes the mind stories or the visuals that we get, or even they come in as radio frequencies or chatter in our mind. So when we can start to just see our body as a physical representation of our subconscious mind, that it is giving us an ability now to catch things that are going on for us and within us. And it also has the ability to house within it, because think of it, this is an incredible vehicle that we're in right now, that not only is it basically the speakerphone for our subconscious mind, but as we start to take the driver's seat of our subconscious mind and begin to reprogram it, because I really want to give the idea that everything that's going on within our body sometimes feels difficult to take control over because it feels addictive. It's no different than having, like, say, cravings for sugar or carbs or different things like that. They feel really intense sometimes, but the thing is that if we can actually go through the detox process and do a reset, it actually breaks the patterns for a lot of these things that we have felt succumbent to, or like a slave to many times, because it felt like it overpowered us. And as we break those patterns and we can reset it, guess what? Now we're going to start to learn higher mind influence and higher mind intentions, how to really work with morphogenetic fields. So this is the whole idea of changing our holograms, so changing our reality. How do we take and do instantaneous healing on a body? It's because we are seeing things the way we want them to be, so we are learning how to overlay things. But the only way that that works is, first of all, we have to get in and understand, how does our subconscious mind work? How is it actually influencing us? How is it actually feeling like it's all us? I swear, my goodness gracious, when you think about the programs, the beliefs, the voices in our head, the chatter, and the addictions and the cravings and all of that, it feels like us. It feels so real. And it's hard to differentiate at first that it's probably coming from either an imbalance or outside of ourselves, that it actually doesn't belong to us, because now we remember that us is our higher self, our higher mind. So I love this quote, is that your subconscious mind controls all the vital processes of your body and knows the answer to all the problems. Now, the whole thing is, how do we start to harness and grab those answers, right? So here's a really neat thing. I want to kind of present to you a triad of information here, because this is all our different levels of communication, and they all overlay to some degree and start to work on the larger levels of communication with, say, telepathy, with our higher dimensional avatars or guardian races and all of these things. So this is how we start to clean our channels. Again, remembering the idea that when we really want to communicate with some of the advanced races or the higher dimensional beings, they don't drop down into this density. They will come down to a specific degree, but you and I all know that it's our responsibility to raise our vibration. And the way you raise the vibration, the way you raise the jet or the vital force or the chi or the energy, is you get rid of all the blocks, everything that's blocking it, so that it can go and actually make it out and move us up. So it expands our plasma field, raises our vibration, so that we are now being a multidimensional being that is able to exist here, but also be able to be aware of all the higher dimensions above us. And then, boom, our telepathic abilities start to come online, our levels of communication. And this is really vital and important for us. We will talk about more as far as these communications and other groups that we get into, but we really want to get on a dialogue basis with the guardian races and other beings that we want to communicate with. We want to step away from any idea of channeling and just letting something use our body and speak through us. So we will use a term from time and time again, the idea of channeling our higher self, which means that what we're doing is we're becoming the vessel for our higher self. But in truth, we always want to use discernment with anything or anyone that we communicate with, so that we always make sure that we are in our integrity and in our highest good and highest order. We have that right. So on a physical body level, we know that our hormones are the messengers. They are the packets of information that take information through the nervous system to the organs, to the glands, to the muscles, to the tissues, and they make sure that all of the systems are functioning within the body. All of the organs communicate with each other in the way that they function, in the way that they are each doing their own specific task, but they do it in harmony with all the other organs in the system. The glands are secreting. They are also in harmony with balancing and making sure that things are getting processed correctly and that minerals are being utilized correctly. Our nervous system is everything. It's our highway. It's one of the easiest things we're going to really understand, as far as if that gets out of alignment, pretty much it makes a domino effect for every other thing in our body. And our blood obviously is the way that our nutrients travel within our body. But I'm going to tell you, our blood is what actually houses where our DNA is. Our DNA is actually in all the tissues in our RNA, but our blood is transporting the brand new blood that comes from our bone marrow. So it's been a while since I've done this meditation with you guys, but I do want to just kind of give light to this one more time, is that inside your bone marrow is the crystalline structures that are creating your crystalline blood, your crystalline DNA that is coming. So our bone marrow has the ability to produce new platelets and blood within it, but all of it is karma and debt free. I want to really put that idea out into your head right now, is that the idea of that the brand new blood that is being born within your bone marrow as it starts to go out into your bloodstream is brand new blood. That blood, when you can go into meditation and connect with it and actually go in there and super infuse it with your crystalline codes, with your higher blueprints, with your DNA, with your activation, with it moving and supporting your body into transitioning from a carbon-based body into a silica matrix body. So we're moving out of carbon density and more lightening the density in our body and moving into like a silica or crystalline-based body. Your bone marrow is actually supporting that process, so it can actually go through your repatterning of your DNA. So the more and more you do the clearing statements, you give back all the karma and debt to where it belongs. You step out of the karma and you move into dharma, which means that you're starting to let go of everybody else's baggage that you've been carrying, putting it back where it belongs, creating your boundaries, and stepping into your Christos avatar God self, which means that you are embodying the Christ light within your body. Now, all of that is rewriting through your DNA, and it's helping to just facilitate on a fast track your detox of your entire body. And I'm going to tell you that this is happening on a physical level, but it's affecting you on every vibrational level, all the way up through your 12th dimensional layers, and even beyond that, because it's actually connecting you fully to your light body. So this is how powerful our physical body and all of our energy bodies interact with each other. Now, this is how now we start to kind of move in. So we're aware. I'm actually going to kind of go backwards with this. So we have our pineal gland. This is part of our chakra system, but our pineal gland gives us a connection and a secretion that connects with our Kundalini fire that expands us open. It is that elixir of light that really fully expands us into the full cosmic consciousness. We have axonal lines, and I have diagrams for each of these that are coming up. We have axonal lines that actually are like meridians through our body, very similar to some of the meridians within traditional Chinese medicine and things like that, but they move through and they correlate with each of the chakra systems in their body. And these also can get out of balance. So this is the next layer down. We have our chakras. Each of our chakras correspond with each of our dimensional levels in our body. And these all hold seals and stations of identity. So we won't expand into the next one until the previous one is ready. So there's actually seals on our chakras that we move through in order to protect us if our body isn't at appropriate levels in order for us to house higher vibrational frequencies in us. Because again, remember, we don't want to burn out. As much as our human mind says, I want it all and I want it now and I want to be in this divine state of essence and being, awesome, great, but for the most part, there's still a lot of resonant inside of us that might actually short our system out and potentially even harm physical structures in the body. So we have crystal seals within our body. So I want to give you the idea that we have at the core level, there's our physical body and our bone marrow. It's pumping out, it's connecting with our RNA and our DNA, which is repatterning itself continually. It's pumping through all of our next channels of communication of our blood, glands, organs, hormones, and through our nervous system. And now this is correlating out, say, through our pineal gland, through our acetonial lines. Watch how this is going to move out into larger aspects of our higher dimensional bodies, our light bodies. So it moves through the acetonial lines. It moves through our chakras. Our chakras have spins, and our crystal seals actually calibrate and protect our chakras. So that's kind of the next system out that helps protect that. And then beyond that, we have what is called our Kathara grid, which is our 12-tree grid. And I will show an image of that again. I have brought that up a few times, but it's something that's, it's kind of hard to grasp at first because it's the reoccurring cosmic pattern of the universe. So basically, we have a 12-tree grid that overlays over our body. And that overlays over our different monadic bodies. So we have multiple ones that kind of overlay bigger and bigger and bigger. And each of these patterns and grids actually interlock and they move through planetary systems. They move through how the morphogenetic fields pattern and interlock with each other and how the stargates work. So we're going to see that we're a very microcosm of a bigger pattern that is just continually fractalizing through the universe. And part of our way to get in alignment with that is to actually realign and re-clear our Kathara grid, our 12-tree grid, which gives us that clean pattern. So we were talking a little bit earlier about how the planet is actually starting to come back into an axis alignment again, slowly as it does. Guess what? That means the planet is going to come back into alignment with its 12-tree grid so that it all starts going click, 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 click. Everything starts to click into place. And just like a perfectly aligned nervous system, all of the information can flood and flow through. The nutrients get through, the light gets through, the communication gets through, the activation gets through, the vitality gets through. All of it just starts to flow like a beautiful living system again. So this is all existing right inside of you, right here, right now, regardless of whether or not we're aware of it. It is all in alignment. So here is our tree of life. It's what it's called. It's a 12-tree grid. It's very similar if you look at the Kabbalah, except that the Kabbalah is like a 10-sphere tree. The truth is that we are living within the 12 strands, the 12 DNA strands that are moving through us. So the Kabbalah is almost right, but it's actually missing a couple of our codes that actually give us full activation again. So you can see, another level of just tweaking, slight manipulation on the planet, which means that for the most part, the information within that system and that structure is really beautiful and has a lot of great information. It's just missing a few more Lego pieces, if you will, that actually plug us all the way back in and give us full divinity access again. So each of these spheres I don't have the other picture up, but each of these spheres correspond with different chakras. They correspond with different timelines. They correspond with different stargates. They correspond with different planetary systems, and they correspond with different different races and different race lines, and also our level of communication within these different spheres within us. So we will eventually, and as we're doing right now, start to be able to move through a higher consciousness understanding of what this tree of life grid is as we move through the clearing and the repatterning of it. But this, I just want you to know that this, on the most basic level, is your original blueprint. So this is your first morphogenetic blueprint coming from the God source field before you actually manifest a physical form in this body. And then next you have your seed, your crystal seeds, and those seeds then manage your chakra systems in your body, and then those manage your actual tissues, your hormones, and your physical body, and all of your other energetic systems in your body. So when we really start to get into energy healing and working with the morphogenetic field and altering timelines, which we really call collapsing timelines, so healing the timelines and traumas and stuff like that. When we work with morphogenetic fields, we don't always want to work with what's here. We want to move our energy field into a greater understanding of what we're connected to, so we can work on the whole 12-tree grid morphogenetic field and really begin to change the outer layers of our field in order to let that stair step down into changing our physical reality within us. And it also can work vice versa, but just to know that you have different levels you can work on to really move and change things. Much like when we really want to do some energy work on the planet, say to do something like to bring rain and call rain. There's one aspect that we could stand out there and just look at our physical environment and just see dirt and just see a hot sky and just see like it being dry, right? And then we see that and we're like just out there saying, I want rain. Well, that's a really physical level. And most of the things we deal with in this reality, that's the level to which we're kind of looking at things. The next layers to which we get into is actually moving into seeing the energetic frequencies, the elemental lines, the different grid lines within it, and then being able to move things through those lines and overlay them into our new reality in order to instantaneously change things on a physical level. And that's the stuff that makes miracles. That's the stuff that looks so cool when you like see people levitating or shrinking a tumor or doing all of these amazing things with the elements and the photons and the electrons on the planet, is because nobody who's doing that is looking at it as a material thing. They're literally looking at it from its God source field, which is on all of these other layers within the dimensions of the universe. The morphogenetic fields is just one of the ways of saying these fields within the 0 point field. So as we step down our tree of life grid, we have our crystal star seals. So I just want to just read a little bit on here, but these are basically, they move up and down our vertical channel. So every time we are really working to get our Sushumna channel or our Hara line activated, all of that breathing we do up and down there, all of that place where we're opening up, clearing the chakras so that our Kundalini can move up and down. We have what are called crystal seals, and they are a grid that governs the particle spin and levels of frequency accretion that is transduced and transmitted into the chakra itself. So it's the amount of energy that can basically move through a chakra. And we know that when there's energetic stuff from our traumas in our past and in our chakras, they get cloudy, they get shut down, they get warped. One side will be bigger than the other. They might be tethered and corded with other people's energy. So imagine it's kind of like a flat tire sometimes at that time. And when you have a flat tire, it's not safe to drive a car super fast on a flat tire. It's actually really dangerous. So you would want to kind of monitor this spin and the function of that chakra itself. So it serves as the function of the energy bodies that keep the human soul identities and the auric layers of the body in separate dimensions. So we're basically maintaining different stations and levels of identity. For most of us, we're super aware of what it's been like to live in the 3D world, in a very animalistic, instinctual world. And all of the stuff we talk about is about moving into higher mind and higher consciousness, really going into that level of understanding the fourth dimension and moving into the heart based of the fifth dimension and even into the more Christic levels of the sixth dimension. And so this is what we're doing, is we're starting to dissolve the crystal seals. As we evolve in our spiritual maturity, what happens is it's like graduating, and it begins to dissolve the seals so you can merge with higher stations of identity. So just know that you have had these different crystal seals within you and may still have, and what you're doing specifically when you're moving into higher heart levels and higher mind levels is that you're actually transcending these crystal seals, so that therefore the bioenergetic mechanics of the star seals greatly impact to evolve the capacity of our ability to embody higher expressions of dimensional consciousness. So just know we have safety guards on us. So a lot of times we may get frustrated for feeling blocked or things like that, but just to realize that if any of that energy ever comes up, that we can take the gentleness within it and just be with where we are, so that we can actually notice what level that energy is able to move to, so that we can start to allow ourselves to be mindful of what is ready to be healed and cleared in our life, and then take the action steps for doing that. So within our body, we also have tons of other different points within us. We have different chakra points. For this diagram specifically, I'm really just focusing on the triangles that are in there, because these are some of the seed points. But we also have within us these lotus points that are set throughout our monadic biocomputer layer. So we have all of these points within our body that literally are maintaining and controlling our physical body like a biocomputer. And why is this important to know? Is because, again, our emotional state of mind in this planet really has kicked us into victim mind a lot of our life. So we felt like life was happening to us, and we felt helpless and hopeless and overwhelmed for a lot of our life. As we grow in our consciousness, we start to realize, it makes sense why I reacted the way I did. It makes sense why that felt the way it did, or I would have come to that conclusion. It makes sense because the chemistry in my body was doing this. Or it's hard to process things as a 2-year-old child. So we start to get higher mind consciousness, that neutral, compassionate observer. We start to realize that our body isn't something to hate, because we've gone through some clearings around putting our body down, thinking it wasn't as amazing as it really is, and start to get to see it as this incredible vehicle. But unfortunately, there's a lot of systems that need to be in harmony and balance in there. So a lot of these points are much like meridian points, energy points, chakra points that are working with helping to maintain our different layers of our energy bodies as we move, because again, each layer of our auric field is holding different databases of information. So you're storing one level of information, records and memories, say maybe in your first chakra, but your heart chakra has a whole other layer of different energetics and things like that. So as we start to cycle through and activate and get access to these new layers, what's really happening is just to know that we have structures in our body that actually help move us through this as gently as possible. And these lotus points can set off, they basically start us into a chain reaction of detoxification systems. So this is where we talk a lot about ascension symptoms. feel a lot like coming down with something, flu-like symptoms, no different than any kind of other detox or maybe even food poisoning sometimes, is where you're moving something out of your body that is now you're at a higher level and you don't tolerate it anymore, and now it's more toxic to you, so now we're purging it out. So these symptoms start to move through us, and what they are doing, just to let you know, that detoxification that happens on this level is about helping us do whatever is necessary in order to start to drop the density. So we're dropping the carbon-based density in order for us to move into our higher dimensional frequencies, our crystalline body, our silica matrix body. And as this happens, the adjustments start to really occur within our heart chakra. And this is the particular part of our biocomputer. So our heart chakra is really our control center. This is why we're always dropping into our heart, navigating from our heart, letting our heart be the compass, because it's controlled by our monad, which is our oversoul. And it helps to really monitor and begin to move through and just recalibrate the nervous system in particular through some of the resettings in the system. So again, just showing you how the energetic step downs are physically playing a part in how you experience even the health in your body. So here, I just wanted to show you and just give you an example of what acetonial lines look like in the body. So when you hear me say these different statements when we're going through our clearings, clearing and rebalancing all acetonial lines, left to right, right to left, front to back, back to front, and all horizontals and all diagonals. This is what we're doing. We're balancing our left side female and our right side male. We are creating a unity and harmony. I want to just show you that as this chakra system moves up our hara line, as the energy flows with the male and female energy moving up it, there is where you get the caduceus. That is where you get that medical symbol where it has the snakes moving up for the symbol of health, for the symbol of medicine, if you will. It was adopted basically from an internal system that we actually have, and that it actually comes together and meets at the pineal gland. The pineal gland, again, is where the secretion of the ointment starts to come and to wash through the body and actually activate us into our cosmic awareness again. So whenever you're working with systems, this is where any kind of body healing practices, even like there's a really cool document, I think I have it on the members page, that is all about an acetonial healing through the body. So it's all of these steps that you can do to balance the left side and the right side and all of the acetonial lines in the body, which is a really, really beautiful treatment. Polarity body energy work, where you're balancing the positive and negatives and really getting the electrical magnetical flow through the body flowing again. So just knowing that that is in other systems. So as this is stepping down, now it's moving through this line. So we're going to move into how this starts to play into what we've been going through. So I like this phrase here. It's quiet the mind and the soul will speak. So as we can listen to all of these things that I've been talking about, again, as I mentioned, it's a lot of information. Take what's right for you right now. Let the rest of it go. Don't have to memorize any of it. Here's where we really start to feel things on a physical level. So I want to invite you to this next step, because one of the things that the guardians were really sharing is that when we healed something like 8 weeks that we just went through, a lot of the stuff that came up in the body for us is similar to PTSD. That as an infant or a child, when we can't regulate something or consciously understand something, when we have streamlines of anxiety, stress, or worry, or doubt, or fear, or anger, or any of these things that are getting trapped within the body, The immediate responses that we're having within the body is an activation of our sympathetic nervous system. So our sympathetic nervous system is the place that is protecting us. It's that fight, flight, or freeze that happens. And I know I'm going to kind of brief through this because I know you guys are all really well versed on a lot of this. But as the guardians presented this, they're saying, so just to notice that already within the system, that the activation of an imbalance of the hormones automatically starts to disassociate a lot of the cognitive abilities and the developmental abilities that the brain processes have in order to get back into a state of feeling safe, of feeling loved, of feeling supported, of feeling secure, of feeling as though we belong and that we're protected and that everything is okay. So we went through all of these different weeks of being able to find all of the places in order for us to step forward to be that support, that protection, and that nourishment for ourselves. And in this next little bit, we get to see how once we get to that stage of out of the trauma, there is a level of needing to honor the way the body needs to rest in order to reset itself. So here's some of the things that start to occur within our body. And I'm actually going to come back to this one. I actually only want to talk about 3 different hormones. So hormones, again, are the communicators in our body. They are what is feeding information and telling our glands and secreting from our glands and telling our organs and telling our tissues and telling all of these processes and systems in the body what to do in order to keep us in homeostasis, which is in balance. That's all the body ever wants to do. And given the chance, if we just step back and get out of the way, the body will naturally go into balance. But I want to share with you some of the ways that we've been experiencing this imbalance and then making ourselves wrong for it, as if we're broken or as if something's wrong, or even as though it feels as though we're stunted or unable to process some of our higher communications with our guides and things like that. And I'm going to show you how even on the level of chemical imbalance in our body, it can completely impede us in our ability to have those higher levels of communication. And what do we do about it? So the very first thing that happens when we get stressed is a hormone, which is a steroid in our body called cortisol, gets released into our bloodstream. So it gets completely flooded through us. Its number one job is it actually goes to the liver and it actually stimulates it in order to release sugar into the body. So it's real beautiful job to help us, because here I want to give the idea that stress is actually highly beneficial. Here's how though. Too much stress, not so good. Just the right amount of stress, awesome. Just the right amount of stress helps you develop muscles and keeps you strong. Just the right amount of stress can give you an orgasm during sex. Just the right amount of stress can create a really fun environment for you when you're playing and having fun with your friends. Just the right amount of stress is what helps to create a sense of growth and moving forward and accomplishing, becoming stronger in our body. So stress is something that actually has the ability to bring people together. It's anytime something gets elevated within our body in kind of an overload sense. And what happens is when we have that, we get a sense of this charge from our adrenals, right? This adrenaline surge that moves through us. Well, adrenaline in short bursts and at the right moments is really, really happy, but it's meant to turn on and turn off rather quickly. So cortisol can help us regulate our blood sugar levels, our metabolism. It can help with reducing inflammation because, again, it gets excreted when we exert ourselves in a strenuous activity like working out or something like that. And so it is a steroid that comes in to help reduce inflammation. It can assist with memory formulation, and it has a controlling effect on salt and water balance as well as our blood pressure in our body. Now, here's the thing. When cortisol gets flooded into the body, the number one thing that happened is all of the other systems shut down, because this is, again, correlated with the fight, flight, or freeze aspect. So what happens is when the adrenals kick in and the cortisol starts to go, guess what? All of the digestion stops within the body. All of the repair and the healing stops within the body. In the sense, every other system gets put on pause in order for every ounce of energy to move to the cortex of the brain in order to bring higher mind and functioning going, in order to think our way out of a problem. So, sounds great, right? But guess what? When it gets stuck on, now you're getting flooded with a bunch of a steroid in your body that is not letting us come back into a state of peace, calm, digestion, healing, repair. It keeps the mind going on overload. So now it's constantly burning out, trying to think of its way out of problems. It starts to think that everything's a problem. It starts to actually mess up digestive issues within the body. And here's the next thing it does, because cortisol is flooding sugars into the body through the liver in order to feed information into the brain so the brain can think. Guess what? What are you going to crave? If your cortisol is stuck and your adrenals are drained and you're in overdrive, that you're just in high stress adrenal mode all the time, what do you think you're going to crave? You're going to continually be craving sugars and carbs. It kicks us into a state of always feeling hungry, always needing sugar, the stress around the belly kind of thing. And within that, now we have an anxiousness and anxiety within our body. And this is the kind of anxiousness and anxiety that is meant to work on a cyclical cycle. So cortisol is actually it kind of is on a timer, and it's meant to turn off around 2 a.m. in the morning and turn back on around 8 a.m. in the morning, so that we rest and sleep. So if cortisol goes off, awesome. Guess what happens? All of the other things start to kick in. Some of the other ones we're going to look at, like serotonin, starts to kick into the body. And when we're sleeping, that is when the growth hormone actually begins to grow, or actually be produced within the body. It's the only time that that is actually producing itself. But when the cortisol gets out of balance, this is a sign. If we wake up in the middle of the night, like clockwork, wake up at a certain time every night, and then we're kind of awake, and then by the time we're ready to go to sleep in the morning, it's actually time to get up. It usually means our cortisol is out of balance. So how is that going to affect us? We're going to be in a constant cycle of heightened and alert. It basically gets stuck on, and all of these systems start to get out of regulation and out of control. And then we have things like serotonin that start to get out of alignment in our body. Well, this is another key hormone that we have that stabilizes our mood and feelings of well-being. This is a place where we're going to hit higher mind, where we're going to be in a state of peace and happiness, that meditation mind, that Zen mind, being in bliss and being able to really have the ability for our brain cells to function and communicate with each other. It helps us with eating, with sleeping, with digestion. It's all of that peaceful restoration and that is happening. And it's found mostly in the digestive system. So just to know that each and every one of these is requiring amino acids in our body in order to create these hormones. And I'm not going to get into a ton of detail because I'm not the best versed in how to tell you about all the different minerals and vitamins and how they work, but different ones like vitamin D and vitamin K and how they work within our digestion and actually helping our brain, and how even having many of them out of alignment is what leads to autoimmune issues and even autism in many of the children if the mothers are having issues with some of these imbalances within their body. But I will post later a couple videos if you want to listen to it a little bit more. It's super fascinating and amazing to see how just little tweaks to how we absorb minerals, absorb the amino acids in our body, and balance our systems actually start to balance these hormones in there. And one of the number one ways for us to do that is to just slow down for a moment. And I'm going to come back to this one right here, which is this whole idea that we quiet the mind and the soul will speak. Well, if we just quiet the mind, our body has the ability to actually start to reset itself too, because remember, it is all tied in. Our physical body is part of our subconscious, which interfaces with our higher mind. It is how our soul can speak to us. So we want to bring down the chatter. So I want to take you to the idea of that chatter in our body. This chatter in our body is what keeps us many times from being telepathic with our guides, from being able to do the lucid dreaming, from being able to actually sit in meditation and have the ability to kind of download information. Well, guess what? If our nervous system's out of whack, if our hormones are completely out of balance, which means we don't have the stability for the on and off for us to get into that peaceful state, that serotonin in our body that gives us that ability to bring that joy, peace, and happiness in. We also have one more hormone I want to talk about. There's quite a few, but these are the three main ones I wanted to bring forth, and this is dopamine. So this one is really a neurotransmitter that has the ability to really help our cognitive abilities, how we think, how our nervous system sends messages between the nerve cells, how our clarity levels are, how able we are to basically be able to just be present in the now moment. So dopamine is our happy, yummy, yummy, feel good feeling. And on a very, if I could actually just give it the idea, it's no different. This is where kind of the idea of dope comes from, is from dopamine. It's addictive. I want to tie this into the idea of Pavlov's dog, that our thoughts about something create a desire for this dopamine neurotransmitter to get whatever it is that we're imagining. This is where we like treats and rewards and things like that. So it's all about our pleasure center, but it's also a huge part of how we have an ability to think and plan for the future, right? And if we have an out of balance dopamine where our neurotransmitters are on this addictive phase, we are not going to be able to think long-term ahead. It's always going to be more in survival mode, or in a project and thinking about rushing to the kitchen for something to hit those neurotransmitters in our brain. So it's a level of distraction that we have constantly, that it's all about short-term thinking. When our dopamine is out of balance, this is where we start to live for the now, for the moment, for pleasures, for self, and for lower vibrational frequencies, rather than being able to have the willpower for longer term goals. So if I could put that kind of idea in there, but it's an entirely powerful hormone for us to be aware of too, because this is also one of the ones that comes into play if we have levels of depression in our body. This is also the level that can create that addiction to that depression in our body. So we want to start to be able to come into a balance with it. Now I'm going to tell you, one of the best ways to actually begin to reset our hormones in our body is to shut off the systems, how they're receiving the information. So this is kind of the same idea as fasting. For some of these, it's fasting from television, it's fasting from our cell phone, it's fasting from fast-paced things, it's fasting from go, 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 go. It's fasting from constantly having all the stimulation going and coming into a state of stillness. So when we talk about human design charts, for all of you that have a lot of open centers or are projectors, what do I tell you? Go be alone. Go be by yourself, get everybody else's energy out of your field, sit in nature, completely reset ourselves. So the whole idea is that we go into a reset of our body in order for us to be able to actually get clarity in it. So it's no different than having an insulin overload in our body. The only way to balance insulin in the body is to literally get the sugars out of our body so that they can reset the sensitivity to it. Same with leptin sensitivity, the way that our fat hormones work, dopamine sensitivities, and the cortisol says any of these are hitting neurotransmitters in our body. And when we get flooded with too much, it's no different than being in a really noisy room. And after a while, it just drowns out around us, and it's hard to hear one voice over the other. So our past traumas, all of the baggage that we've been clearing, all of the karma, all of that shadow stuff, all of the mind slides, all of the frequency inputs that have been put on our mind, all of the places that we've ever lived out of not self. That is an overload that has been flooding our soul, our body, our energy. So all that cloudiness in the chakras and everything like that. How do we heal it? Well, the number one way to heal the adrenals is to rest, is to actually say, hey, sometimes I need to slow down. Sometimes I might need to take a nap in the middle of the day. Sometimes it might mean saying no to certain things. And this is where we need to use discernment, because most of us live in a life or society where we have taken on a ton of commitments where we don't have the opportunity, even if our body's asking for it, to take the day off tomorrow. And that comes from ideas of commitments to job, to partners, to children, or any number of things. And if we have these things that are overriding our guidance, this is where we're going to need to step in and start asking ourselves, is this in my highest truth? Because we here are in a place where we really need to ask ourselves, and no judgment either way. Any path is correct if it's correct for you, right? So what path are you choosing? Are you choosing to live an earth-based life, which is totally fine, to have these earth-based paths? Or are you choosing something else? Are you choosing to be more of a path of disengaging from the programs of earth so that you can anchor in new codes, new energy, new light? And either way, it doesn't matter. You got to find out what's correct for you. In both of those paths, you have the opportunity to live from a heart-based path. Your job is to align yourself more and more towards that which gives you vital energy, which gives you chi, which invigorates you, which lights you up. So I want to read this list. This is some ways, I did put this on the blog, but this is some ways that we may experience things when any of these energy systems that we've been talking about are out of balance. Anytime we feel distracted, where it's hard to stay focused, where we may sit down to do something, but then every time you sit down, you feel an anxious energy and you get up and you want to just go do busy work, what I call busy work, where you don't really need to do it, but oh, I better go fold the laundry, or oh, I better go mow the lawn really quick, or oh, I just need to go do this real quick. And it's little menial tasks that really don't progress the evolution of this planet. It's just busy stuff that is keeping our mind busy on small things. So also the idea of having a lot of ideas, but then when you sit down to do them, it's like your whole mind blanks out, or you start to get distracted, or that anxious energy comes in again. Cravings for things. So that again is that dopamine overload, that distraction in there. So cravings for things, even if it's a piece of chocolate, or to go do something, or to go watch a show, or to do something, anything that gets you away from what you were sitting down to do, that might take some sort of focus, or actually tapping in to really like moving forward into something that will change. So this is also the idea of comfort in small patterns. Comfort in small patterns is the whole idea that, oh, okay, well, I'm going to focus on, say, something like, what did I eat all day today? And track my micronutrients and focus all on that all day. And if I do that, that's a small thing in comparison to, say, maybe thinking about what my chakras are doing, or what is my energy field doing, or what is pulling me out of balance in the first place. So sometimes it's comfortable to get distracted into smaller patterns or smaller things in life that in truth, may give us some sort of knowledge base or something like that, but in truth is not actually evolving our soul, or developing our higher consciousness, or developing our ability to work with morphogenetic fields or anything like that in any way, shape, or form. So, but sometimes they just feel comfortable because they're safe. And so we'll let ourselves be distracted on something easy in order to not do something uncomfortable that may take some focus. Again, remembering any of these hormones out of balance make it really hard to focus, think long term, and have clarity with what we're doing. They're all very distracted hormones in the body. Blanking out on what we do, especially when we start to map out a course in life. Feeling as though you know your truth, but then it's kind of like, but I don't know where to start, what to do, how to apply it. Like, how many of us all know how to work with the energy of water? And I want to ask you, be honest with yourself. How many times have you thought of water, touched water, or even imagined water today? And did you remember to do the energy with the water every time that you touched it? So that's like us developing into a conscious level. So every time we go to drink water, taking a moment to bless it, infuse it, utilize it to heal the cellular structure in our body, or even bless the land, all of these cool things. So how we actually kind of expand. This is about living in service to others. This is about now looking outside of ourselves. When we're out of balance with our hormones or any of our energy systems, it tends to invert us towards self, especially if our health is out of balance, if our energy is out of balance, if our chakras or our soul feels out of balance, we immediately start to feel broken and then go into a mode of self-diagnosis. Don't worry, we've all done it. Lots and lots of it. And then when we're self-diagnosing, there's a whole level that's so inverted that we've got to just gently bring ourselves out again and just say, okay, not to spin on it. Knowledge is powerful, but at the same time, letting ourselves continually go out and how can this knowledge now be in service for others? That in truth, that is the path of Dharma. Dharma is all about that we are a unique soul that came here to live a divine purpose for the service of others, and that we live that purpose by being that uniqueness that we came here to be and sharing it with others. That is the path of Dharma. So when I say stepping out of karma, which is repeated patterns, living from karma, living from debt, cause and effect, victimhood, all of that kind of stuff, we step out of that and we step into a place of realizing we are a divine being with a unique purpose, and that just by being that purpose and sharing it with others, we are now living our Dharma. We came here to be. So, all of that also helps us with beginning to clear things. So the feelings of being blocked from our higher selves, the pressures of feeling a desire to live a multidimensional life, but then kind of clinging to the material. So a lack of trust and letting go. This shows up a lot, and this is such a variation that everybody needs to kind of look at this for your own situation in your place. But a lot of times this is a fear and a clinging to family, family patterns, unhealthy people in our life that we feel guilty to let go of or create boundaries for. Job's a huge one, and again, no judgment on any of this. It's just to acknowledge it and to reframe and recreate our relationships with any of it. So even if it's a job that is not a job that is fulfilling our soul, but we're doing it because, I'm about to retire, Or, well, it gives me the medical insurance that I need, but, I regret. And if you love having a day off more than you like going to work on a consistent basis, that you're way more excited that you don't have to go for a while, be honest with yourself. Now, your job is just to reframe it. I gave a metaphor or a practice within the newsletter of imagining going in and saying that you want to quit that job if it doesn't line up for you. The main purpose in that is to see what's that panic. As soon as you imagine, say, someone in your family that has been completely dumping emotional stuff on you, or passive aggressive, or creating an unhealthy, balanced dynamic of relationship for you, right? So now if you were to imagine going up to that person and speaking your truth and saying what you need to say, or even maybe breaking up with that person and telling them that you do not choose to have them as part of your life anymore because they're unhealthy. Your job is just to imagine it so that you can catch what's the panic that comes up if you imagined actually going and doing that. There's usually a fear, a nervousness, and anxiety of like, oh my gosh, like, to actually go to somebody that we would maybe say something about later, like, oh my gosh, they're just such a butthead all the time. I can't stand, why do they treat me this way? But then if you imagine actually having the courage to say that to their face, what comes up for you? That is your biggest gift right there, because that's going to show you. This is where we find what is out of balance in ourselves. Oh my gosh, I might lose my stability. I might lose my security. I might lose my ability to provide for my family, my home. Find your root fear in there. And here's the reason why. Because when you can heal it and clear it and come to a place of security within yourself, you get to a place where it's easier and easier and easier to make decisions that are correct for you based on your heart and what your soul is telling you to do, so that no fear comes in the way and stops you from making the choices that are right for you. Because I'm going to tell you right now, there are people creating every kind of dynamic of life you can think of on the planet. And there are some that choose to be tied to things. And there are others that are living this whole free, wherever the world guides me kind of life. And guess what? We're infinite souls. So whatever you choose, make sure it's correct for you. And it's correct for you based on it being your truth, not because you're clinging to fears or scared to change something that you're comfortable with. So that is what I would offer you with that. And with that, there is the clearing statements to go through. I have an entire video that I put together describing, again, how to go through that process so that you can organically take anything that comes up. Again, no judgment, neutral, compassionate witness, whatever comes up. Find out where it came from. Find out if you made it up or if you inherited it from someone else, and free your soul. This is where we want to free our lines of communication. Get all that noisy chatter out of our nervous system, out of our subconscious, and out of our body, so that you can start walking that path that you get to seamlessly receive the information from your higher self, because you're open. You're just relaxed and open. And that level of serotonin is supporting where you are and what you're doing. So just allowing that thought to just be with you however you choose. And I love this quote right here, that every time you are tempted to react in the same old way, ask if you want to be a prisoner of the past or a pioneer of the future. That's a quote from Deepak Chopra. So as we take all of this information, I'm just going to invite you to take some nice deep breaths in. And just speak to your higher self. Higher self, all of the information that I have integrated, please allow it to balance me in the most appropriate way right now. All that I am ready to release, surrender, and let go of, please pull it from me now so that all of my hormone levels can balance in my body for clean, pure, crystalline communication on every level of my I am presence. Thank you. And this is where mindfulness becomes your most beautiful, beautiful practice. If you could just sit and be observant of the body. Does it feel calm? Does it feel anxious? And if it feels anxious or if there's any movement in it, that it's no different than just watching it. Curiosity, as if you're just really curious as to what it is, what the movement is. And as you observe it, you're holding higher mind, which means that as you hold higher mind, you're automatically holding the space and the intention for homeostasis, which means balance back into wholeness, balance back into that which is correct for your higher self. There's no huge thing that you need to do. There's no, complicated process that you need to go through in order to bring your body back into balance. In truth, you could go sleep for a week and do more good for your body and your spirit and your lines of communication than any other thing you could imagine right now, that you could just unplug for a moment from all of the pressures. And right here, right now, just pull yourself into the 0 point field. So taking that deep breath. Asking of your higher self, pull me into the infinite field of possibilities now. Open me to the 0 point field of God source light. I command bliss, endless possibilities, peace, joy, happiness. And take that field. Just imagine the God source field. And in truth, that field is quiet. It's like sitting in ready stasis, ready for action, but it's that calm. It's just that beingness. And as you sit in this, pull a sphere of that around you. Imagine that you are creating a bubble around you. You are inside your own holographic bubble of the 0 point field. And expand it out. How big do you need it around you? Higher self, calibrate my 0 point bubble around me to the appropriate size in order for me to feel tranquility, peace, and infinite possibilities. Rejuvenate and align all of my systems now. Rebalancing now all lines of the 12 tree grid. Realigning each of these lines of the 12 tree grid with all of the 12 tree grid of the Earth sphere, and all planetary systems, expanding out infinitely to the great central sun and the core of creation. Commanding of your higher self, I command to realign all of my lines back into pure alignment with God source light. Turn me back online now. I activate my levels of communication, opening all channels of communication to source, to all guardians, to all soul families, and to my higher self now. Higher self commanding to calibrate each of my crystal seals in my body to the appropriate level for that which I am ready. Please dissolve all those that I am ready to remove now, and soften the ones that I am ready to begin to remove now. Becoming aware now of higher mind, higher voice, and all levels and channels of communication, which are in alignment with my higher self and my Dharma path. Calibrate now. Higher self, commanding to align all chakra systems to the appropriate calibrated opening, front and back, top and bottom. Activate and spin at the appropriate speed, size, and level now in order to house my soul bodies and all of my dimensional bodies with full awareness within this first harmonic universe. Opening the pineal gland in order to allow full communication to come through. Firstly and foremost, through dream state, through lucid dreaming, and through telepathic and guardianship communication. Opening all of these channels as I am ready. Please create safety guards for any time there are distortions in my field in order to make sure that all lines of communication are only aligned through the channel of higher self, and all other levels of distortion or any levels of deception communication be dissolved, turned off, unplugged, or eradicated from the field now. Commanding this now, and so it is. Higher self commanding to calibrate all polarities of the body to the appropriate calibration in order to support the carbon-based body to begin to move into the crystalline body form now. Calibrating all axitonial lines through the body, all polarities left to right, right to left, front to back, back to front, and all diagonals in the body. Calibrating now to be in the perfect electrical magnetical alignment for the male and female and neutral, the Trinity wave to flow perfectly through me. Commanding this now, do it now, and so it is. Take a deep breath. Higher self commanding that all new platelets being created within the bone marrow of the body be upgraded to the new level of communication of the Christ light flowing through me, activating all 12 strands of the DNA to flow through this new blood platelet line as it rewrites all DNA within the body, activating all dormant codes that are ready to be activated with the light body codes now, as is in divine right order and alignment with the higher self. Do this now. Upgrading all light codes to the next appropriate level. Bringing in the translator and awareness to become aware of light code frequency communication and download packets from telepathic communication. Activate this new interface now, plugging it into all systems of our body's biodynamic computer. Upgrade now. Higher self, calibrate all nervous system pathways, aligning them now. Pull in now the most appropriate morphogenetic blueprint of a healthy nervous system into the physical body form now. Overlay now, set it now, and so it is. activate each of these dendrites within the nervous system as they communicate with all the skeletal structures, the muscular structures, and every organ and tissue within the body, all the way up into the cerebral function of higher mind, activating the brain functions. Now, in order to be fully and completely aligned, overlay higher mind over instinctual, animalistic, reptilian mind now. Activate higher mind now. Higher mind now is the driver of this body, commanding this now, and so it is. Higher self commanding now to rebalance and restructure all hormonal systems within the body, all layers and levels of communication within the glands and the organs, and all systems within the body that are levels of communication that are keeping every organ, tissue, and system in homeostasis within the body, commanding that all cortisol levels go to the appropriate calm level of peace, tranquility, and higher mind. Commanding now that all dopamine levels go back to the most appropriate level, unplug all receptors that have been infiltrated by any chemicals on this body or any false plugins in this realm that have been inserted through food, through air, through breath, or through any chemical processes that have ever been imposed on the surface of the body or internally within the body, commanding that all dendrite plugins for the dopamine and neurotransmitters for the dopamine be only plugged into the appropriate level for which they were intended. Activate this now through higher mind, and so it is, dissolving all impulses that are based on cravings and outside of alignment of higher self. Higher mind, higher self, calibrate all serotonin levels to be in the highest appropriate level for Buddhic mind in order for full meditation mind and higher dimensional frequency thinking to be able to be present within this density and reality, creating an overlay within this realm for the appropriate levels of serotonin in order to balance peace, tranquility, bliss, and the infinite sphere of the 0 point right inside of the very now moment of every action that I take, commanding this to be within every breath, and so it is. System to system, upgrading communication, organ to organ, upgrading communication, limb to limb, upgrading all communication, rebalancing all hemispheres of the brain, left to right, right to left, front to back, back to front, activating the neocortex back to higher mind, unplugging and lowering the frequencies of reptilian mind now and mammalian mind now. From the light of Christ and the light of source that we are hereby commanding now to activate all systems from the highest frequencies that we are able to house within this physical form, asking for these frequencies to gently increase as appropriate for the body to handle, for the spirit to handle. Calibrate all detoxification to happen gently and to happen as much as possible through dream time in order for all processes to be able to clear out of the body in the most appropriate and gentle way in order to facilitate our Dharma path on this planet. In this very I am present moment of now, we are hereby once again verbalizing and proclaiming our declaration to be emissaries of light, to be the protectors and guardians of this planet, and to be our highest self and highest expression in everything we do, in every breath we take, and in every way that we are more and more living our life and how we can be of the highest good and service to others. In this very I am present moment of now, to the guardians, to our higher self, we say thank you, thank you, thank you. We are so loved. We are so supported, so protected, so nurtured, so required. We own now. Allow yourself to say this for yourself. I own now my value. I proclaim I am valuable. I am important. I am here with a purpose. I am here for divine good. I hold a heart of love. I am love. I am making a difference, and that feels so good. And then one last breath, just proclaiming higher self, everything that I am ready to detox from the body, all lower based programs, instincts, or lower mind that does not serve me any longer. Pull it from me now, detox it from me now. I am complete with it now. I stand as an emissary of light and the light of truth. And so it is. With this one last breath, we say thank you, thank you, thank you. As we bring this sacred circle to a close, thank you. And so it is.